So our next speaker is Abdi Mohamed. And Abdi, let's hear it for Abdi. Abdi is a social justice activist, a union and community organizer, and was the first East African community leader who endorsed Shama in 2013 and mobilized his community to support her. Abdi is very instrumental and advocates for affordable housing in Seattle and the fight against SHA's Stepping Forward campaign, which would have raised rents 400%. Exactly. He was one of the organizers to help win $15 an hour in C-Tech. Let's hear it for Abdi.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. My name is Abdi Mohamed from the East African community, an activist and labor union organizer. I'm very thankful to the organizers of this event who invited me to be part of this history once again. I met Shama Sawant 2 months before the primary election in 2013, when a handful of people could even clearly pronounce her name without butchering. And today, Shama is a household name in Seattle. Shama supported and fought side by side with the immigrant community in the struggle to defeat SHA, Seattle Housing Authority, proposal to raise the rent of low-income families by 400%, and we defeated. Shama played a very important role to raise the minimum wage to 15 in our city. Let us go and defeat corporate politics and give power to the working families. Thank you for your time, and let us win this again. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. So next up, we're going to hear from Dustin Washington. Lots of hands. Dustin is the Director of Community Justice Programs at American Friends Service Committee, is a trainer with the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. Yes. And is a driving force behind Seattle's Freedom Schools. Here's Dustin.
Many people have asked me, why am I supporting Shama Sawant? So I thought about it, and I came up with 3 reasons that I want to share with you tonight. And the only thing I want to ask from each of you, if you agree with the reasons that I'm going to lay out, I need to hear you. Is that fair? Yes. So the first reason I'm fully supporting the re-election of Shama Sawant is that she courageously stood up and supported the No New Jail campaign to stop the building of a new detention center in Seattle. And I gotta say, she was the only one on the city council. Everybody else vacillated, waffled, flip-flopped, but she courageously stood up because she understood that building new jails is a perpetuation of a racist prison industrial complex, and that building new jails is wrong public policy for our children. The second reason I support the re-election of Shama Sawant is because she has been a passionate fighter for economic justice in this city. She has fought for a $15 minimum wage, fought against a 400% increase in rental prices for low-income workers, and fought for a people's budget. And we know that in this city, low-wage workers are disproportionately people of color, and renters are disproportionately people of color. And Shama has had a vision around economic justice, and that is another great reason for us to support her re-election. The third reason, and maybe the most important reason, and I need you to hear me, that supporting Shama Sawant is not just about supporting Shama Sawant. She understands this is not about her. This is about all of us. This is about us building a grassroots, anti-racist, anti-capitalist people's movement to say no to the corporate agenda, to say no to the capitalists that want to make this city only a city for the rich, the powerful, and the well-connected. By re-electing Shama Sawant, together we can send a message to the power structure, the racist capitalist power structure of this city, that we're not taking it no more. The game is over. We will resist. We will fight together until we change this city and transform this whole city and this whole country. Re-elect Shama Sawant.
Okay. So next up, we have Bernadette Haskins, who is a nurse in our community who's leading the fight to make sure that healthcare is a human right. Yes. She is an operating room nurse at Swedish Cherry Hill, a member of the executive board of SEIU Healthcare 1199 Northwest. Let's hear it for SEIU 1199. And a member of the union bargaining team at Swedish. Let's hear it for Bernadette.
All right. I'm going to start off by saying that I'm not used to an audience this large. I'm just used to like my husband and my golden retriever, Lucy. So bear with me. So I'm a nurse in the operating room at Swedish Cherry Hill. My 7,000 coworkers and I, from nurses to schedulers to cooks, are united in SEIU Healthcare 1199 Northwest. This year, we are bargaining a contract at Swedish, but we're not bargaining with Swedish, we're bargaining with Providence, a 5-state, multi-billion-dollar healthcare corporation. As a nurse, I go to work every day to care for my patients, but Swedish Providence is making it hard for my coworkers and I to give the kind of care our patients deserve. Chronic understaffing has made our hospital a worse place to work or receive care. I know, yep. We hear about it every day, patients having to wait longer for medications or for assistance to the bathroom. We leave work worrying about the patients we weren't able to get back to because of the 6 other patients that we needed to help. At the bargaining table, we proposed setting a maximum number of patients per nurse. Management said no. It's not just the patients who are going to lose under Providence management. Providence has also proposed huge cuts to our healthcare coverage, cuts that would mean many of my coworkers wouldn't be able to afford care at the very hospital they work at. Already, dozens of Swedish caregivers are facing collections or garnishment of wages for medical debt they have from the care they got at Swedish. This would make the problem far more widespread. Swedish made $59 million in profit last year, and they're proposing we get a 1% raise. That's less than half our cost of living here in Seattle. That means our families get left behind while CEOs lavish in million-dollar salaries. Swedish even told us that they can afford better, but they're choosing not to. Yep. So, you know, I'm here today with the backing of my coworkers, members of the union, because Swedish is eroding our community standards for good care and undermining good jobs in our community. One candidate is standing with us the whole way. When the community group Washington Can picketed in front of the Swedish corporate headquarters, they marched up to the CEO's office calling on Swedish to forgive medical debt. Who led the march? Shama. Yeah. When management came to the bargaining table and told us we can afford to do better, but we won't, who is standing at the picket line with us? Shama. She knows the solution is accountability at Swedish, at the bargaining table, and at City Hall, so that everyone in Seattle gets safe, affordable care, and so that healthcare jobs in Seattle are good, family-supporting jobs. The nurses and healthcare workers at Swedish Providence, along with our fellow 1199 members at Harborview, Group Health, DESE, Lifelong, Navos, all along the state, say we need Shama in Seattle City Hall.
So has everyone heard that corporations across the country are worried that we might re-elect Shama? Have folks heard this? And that they are funding our opponents' campaigns? According to Publicola, a recent fundraiser of one of Shama's opponents, and I quote, was claiming hefty out-of-state donations were going to be coming in from top-tier donor counterparts from around the country who are antsy about Sawant's growing influence in a prominent city like Seattle, and they don't want her to be reelected. Right? What is clear from the latest public elections disclosures that came out this week is that Shama's opponents are raking in huge checks from downtown developers, financiers, and the corporate elite who will stop at nothing to make sure that Shama isn't reelected. We in this room aren't millionaires and billionaires, but we have the power to make sure their money doesn't buy yet another seat on the council. That's right. Here in Seattle, we will prove that ordinary people can defeat corporate power through grassroots activism. We can do this. I'm thrilled that this room is filled with all of you. But the reality is that we are going to have to knock on doors and convince our friends and neighbors to vote for Shama. This campaign will be won at the doors. We are going to launch the biggest door-to-door grassroots campaign that Seattle has seen in many years. I know that it is not glamorous, but studies definitely show that door-knocking registered voters is the best way to convince someone to support a candidate. Nothing is more effective than a one-on-one personal conversation, especially if you're willing to share why you support Shama. Everyone should have a copy of this Get Involved card. Can I see it? Can folks hold it up? Do folks have copies? I see some over here, over here. Okay, so if you don't have one, please raise your hand and volunteers will make sure to get you copies of this form. So please make sure to fill out this volunteer form and leave it at the volunteer table in the lobby as you exit. And there are 3 key ways that you can help us and that you can check off on this form. You can hang up posters 1 week from now. You can door knock on weekends and weekdays at specific times, or you can march with Shama in Seattle's LGBTQ Pride Parade. I will be there. And if you're nervous about door knocking, don't worry, we'll train you, and you'll go in pairs, so you'll have somebody to go with you, and you won't have to do it on your own. You'd be surprised how open most people are to supporting Shama once they have a chance to talk to you about it. But we need your help to go door to door. There are a lot of doors in this district. So please raise your hand if you need a pen or you need a volunteer form. Raise it really high and we'll make sure to get you one. So that's enough for me. I'll pause in the pitch and introduce our next speaker. So we were going to have Larry Brown, who is from the Machinists Union, and he's unfortunately unable to make it tonight. But we want to thank the Machinists Union for supporting Shama and the 30,000 Boeing workers. Let's hear it. Who have been early endorsers of Shama in this race. When people say that Shama is against Boeing, they don't mean that Shama is against the Boeing workers, because we know that Shama is with the Boeing workers. Let's hear it. We also want to thank the King County Central Labor Council, who's endorsing Shama, and for their incredible support. So our next speaker is Chris Hedges. Chris is a longtime war journalist, writer, and was an early and outspoken critic of the U.S. plan to invade and occupy Iraq. That's right. In 2002, he was part of a team of reporters at the New York Times who won a Pulitzer Prize for his paper's coverage on global terrorism. That same year, he won an Amnesty International Global Award for Human Rights Journalism.